What would you do if saving someone meant becoming the most wanted fugitive in 3-star systems? What if that someone was from the warrior race that nearly destroyed humanity? And what if a single act of mercy could change the fate of the entire galaxy? This is the story of Jonas Virell and the choice that made him a legend. Listen, I'm about to tell you a story that'll make you question everything you think you know about right and wrong. It's about a man named Jonas Virell, a human salvager who worked the dead zones between star systems, picking through the bones of forgotten wars. And it's about the moment he heard a signal that would change 3 lives forever. Picture this. You're drifting through the Kepler orbital yards, a graveyard of twisted metal and shattered dreams floating in the cold vacuum. Most people avoid this place. Too many ghosts, too many bad memories from the Xelari war. But Jonas, he calls it home. He's scanning for scrap metal when his console starts chirping. Not the usual ping of salvageable junk, but something different. Something encrypted. Something alive. The signal is faint, almost lost in the cosmic background noise. But Jonas has been doing this for 15 years, and he knows the difference between dead metal and a distress call. His hands move across the controls, triangulating the source. They're wedged between 2 collapsed cargo bays. He finds her. Her name is Seyra, and she's buried under a ton of hull plating, her breathing so shallow you'd think she was already gone. Her silver skin is marked with scars that tell stories of battles fought across distant worlds. She's Xelari, the warrior race that nearly wiped out half the galaxy before the peace accords. And according to Galactic law, helping her is treason. Behind Jonas, a small figure emerges from the shadows. It's Tova, a child whose species doesn't even have a name anymore, because the Xelari made sure of that. She's been following Jonas for months, never speaking, never trusting, just surviving. But now she looks at the broken warrior trapped in the wreckage and whispers her first words in weeks. She's dangerous. Jonas stares down at Seyra's face. Her eyes are open, aware, completely unafraid. She's not begging for help. She's not making promises. She's just waiting to see what kind of man he really is. And that's when Jonas makes the decision that will turn him into the most wanted human in 3-star systems. You want to know what makes this story really twisted? It gets worse. Way worse. See, as Jonas starts clearing the debris off Seyra, his scanner starts going crazy. Not just life signs, but something else. Something that makes his blood run cold. There's tech inside her body that shouldn't exist anymore. Military-grade neural implants. The kind the Xelari used to turn their warriors into living weapons. She's not just injured, she's been weaponized. Jonas stops, his hands still gripping a chunk of twisted steel. He could walk away right now. Hell, he should walk away. The Galactic Council doesn't mess around when it comes to Xelari war tech. One call to the authorities, and this whole mess becomes someone else's problem. But here's the thing about Jonas Virell that you need to understand. He's seen what happens when good people do nothing. He's salvaged the wreckage of entire colonies that died because someone somewhere decided that helping was too risky. He looks down at Seyra and she's watching him, not pleading, not threatening, just waiting. Her voice is barely a whisper, but every word cuts through the silence like a blade. If you leave, I won't beg. But if you stay, you're now an enemy of the Council. She's giving him an out. No guilt, no manipulation, just the cold, hard truth. Help her and become a fugitive. Walk away and stay safe. Most people would run. Most people would make the smart choice. But Jonas Virell isn't most people. He hefts his plasma cutter and gets back to work. Chunk by chunk, beam by beam, he digs her out. And with every piece of debris he removes, he's signing his own death warrant. Tova watches from the shadows, her young face a mask of confusion and fear. This is the same warrior race that turned her homeworld into glass. The same empire that erased her people from existence. And now this strange man who's shown her more kindness than anyone else in the galaxy is risking everything to save one of them. The irony isn't lost on anyone here. 3 hours later, Jonas finally pulls Seyra free. She's breathing but barely. Her legs won't respond. The neural implants in her spine are damaged, sending confused signals throughout her nervous system. She tries to stand and collapses immediately. For the first time since he found her, Jonas sees something crack in her composure. Not fear, but something worse. Resignation. "I was born to command fleets," she whispers. "Now I can't even command my own body." And that's when Jonas realizes this isn't just about saving a life. This is about proving that mercy isn't weakness, that compassion isn't surrender, that sometimes the most human thing you can do is help someone who has every reason to be your enemy. Now here's where things get really interesting, because Jonas doesn't just save Seyra and call it a day. No, this stubborn human decides to double down on the worst decision of his life. He carries her through the maze of collapsed corridors to his ship, the Broken Chain. It's not much to look at, just a modified cargo hauler he's patched together from salvaged parts. But it's hidden deep in the shipyard's maintenance tunnels, and more importantly, it's off the grid. Tova follows at a distance, still silent, still watching. But I notice something different about her now. She starts leaving things by Seyra's makeshift bed. Small things, a water bottle, clean bandages, a blanket that actually doesn't smell like engine oil. The kid's conflicted, and honestly, who can blame her? Meanwhile, Seyra's condition is deteriorating fast. The neural implants aren't just damaged, they're actively failing. Every few hours, her body goes into spasms as the war AI tries to boot up and crashes against corrupted code. She hallucinates battles that happened decades ago, speaks to commanders who've been dead for years. Jonas spends 3 days straight trying to figure out how to help her. He's not a doctor, he's not a tech specialist. He's just a guy who fixes broken ships. But he's stubborn as hell, and he's got an engineer's mind for solving impossible problems. That's when he gets the crazy idea. He starts modifying one of his mining exoskeletons. You know, those massive rigs designed to help workers haul around asteroid fragments? Jonas figures if he can adapt the neural interface, maybe he can bypass Seyra's damaged spine entirely. Give her back some control over her body. It's insane. It's dangerous. It's never been done before. Seyra watches him work for hours, her silver eyes tracking every movement. Finally, she speaks up. "Wait, Jonas doesn't look up from his welding. "Why what? Why are you doing this? I'm not your responsibility. I'm not even your species." Jonas sets down his torch and turns to face her. And what he says next is going to stick with you long after this story ends. Because someone has to. That's it. No grand speech about justice or morality, just 4 simple words that sum up everything you need to know about humanity. Someone has to. But Seyra isn't buying it. She's a warrior bred for command, trained to see weakness and exploit it. And right now, all she sees is a human who's throwing his life away for nothing. "I was born to command fleets," she says, her voice sharp with frustration. "I conquered star systems. I brought entire civilizations to their knees. And now you want me to wear your mining gear like some kind of charity case? I won't be pitied by a human scrapper." The tension in that cargo hold could cut steel. Tova shrinks back into the shadows. Jonas just stands there, covered in grease and metal shavings, facing down a warrior who could have killed him with her bare hands if she could still use them. And then he says something that changes everything. "Then fight, but fight with me, not against me." See, that's the thing about humans that other species never quite understand. We don't just survive, we adapt. We don't just endure, we overcome. And we sure as hell don't give up. Don't give up on people, even when they have given up on themselves, especially then. Seyra stares at him for a long moment. I can see the war happening behind her eyes. Pride versus pragmatism. The warrior she was versus the woman she's becoming. Finally, she nods. "Show me this contraption of yours." The next few days are brutal. The exoskeleton interface requires neural mapping, which means Jonas has to dig deep into Xelari physiology he barely understands. Every connection he makes could paralyze her permanently. Every calibration could kill her. But here's what I love about this part of the story. It's not just Jonas working alone. Seyra starts contributing. Her knowledge of Xelari biotech combined with his human ingenuity creates something neither of them could have built alone. Even Tova gets involved, her small hands perfect for reaching the delicate components deep inside the exoskeleton's neural core. 3 species working together to build something impossible. 3 survivors refusing to let the galaxy break them. And just when they think they're making progress, just when Seyra takes her first supported steps in weeks, the proximity alarm starts screaming. Someone's found them. You know what I thought was going to happen next? Some big space battle, laser cannons blazing heroic speeches, maybe Jonas pulling off some impossible maneuver to escape the authorities. I was wrong, dead wrong. What happens next is so much worse and so much more human that it's going to break your heart. The proximity alarm isn't coming from outside the ship. It's coming from inside, from Seyra's quarters. Jonas rushes in to find her struggling with the airlock controls, her partially functional exoskeleton sparking and grinding as she tries to override the safety protocols. She's trying to space herself, to open that door and let the vacuum take her. "What the hell are you doing?" Jonas shouts, lunging for the manual override. Seyra's voice is eerily calm. "Solving your problem." Jonas hits the emergency lockdown just as the outer door starts to cycle. The rush of escaping atmosphere dies with a hiss, but the look in Seyra's eyes, that's still there. Cold, determined, final. "You're not a problem," Jonas says, his hands shaking as he checks the seal integrity. "You're not something that needs to be solved." But Seyra just laughs, and it's the most bitter sound I've ever heard. "Look at me, Jonas. Really look. I can barely walk 10 steps without this machine. I can't fight, I can't flee. I'm a political liability that's going to get you killed, and for what? So you can feel good about yourself." That's when Tova steps out of the shadows. Remember, this is a kid who hasn't spoken more than a handful of words since Jonas found her. A child whose entire species was wiped out by the Xelari Empire. She should hate Seyra more than anyone. Instead, she walks right up to the airlock controls and starts pulling out the manual override circuits, one by one methodically, making sure Seyra can never try this again. "My people had a saying," mopping, Tova says quietly, her voice rusty from disuse. "The dead cannot choose to live, but the living can choose to die. It's the choosing that matters." Seyra stares at this child, this survivor of her people's genocide who's now preventing her suicide. "Why?" Seyra whispers. "Your people, what we did." Tova looks up at her with eyes that have seen too much aged beyond her years. Because Jonas is right, someone has to. And that's the moment everything changes, not just for Seyra, but for all of them. See, Tova reaches into her jacket and pulls out something I didn't even know she had. A memory crystal about the size of a marble glowing with soft blue light. It's Kytherian technology from her homeworld, one of the last remnants of her entire civilization. "This contains the neural patterns of our greatest healers," she says, holding it out to Seyra. "It's the only thing left of my people's medical knowledge. It might help with your implants." The weight of that gesture hits everyone in the room like a physical force. This child is offering the last piece of her destroyed culture to help the warrior whose people destroyed it. Seyra takes the crystal with trembling hands. For the first time since Jonas found her, she actually cries. Not from pain or frustration, but from something deeper. Something that might be hope. "I thought I hated humans," she whispers. "Then one risked his life just to carry me. I thought I was beyond redemption. Then a child whose people I helped destroy offered me salvation." Jonas kneels down beside her, his voice gentle but firm. "You're not a weapon anymore, Seyra. You're not a symbol or a political problem. You're just someone who deserves a chance to choose who you want to be." And for the first time in weeks, Seyra makes a choice that isn't about death or duty or the weight of her past. She chooses to try. "Help me up," she says, testing the exoskeleton's servos. "If we're going to do this impossible thing, we might as well do it right." But even as they're having this moment, even as these three broken souls are finding something like family, the real proximity alarm starts blaring. And this time it's not a false alarm. This is where everything goes straight to hell. The thing that finds them isn't a council patrol ship or some bounty hunter looking for easy credits. It's something much worse. It's a Xelari hunter-killer drone, one of those autonomous nightmares left over from the war. And it's locked onto Seyra's biometric signature like a bloodhound that's caught a scent. Jonas hits the ship's intercom as blast doors start sealing throughout the vessel. "Everyone get to the cargo bay now, we've got company." The drone doesn't bother with warnings or surrender demands. It just starts cutting through the broken chain's hull with surgical precision, peeling back armor plating like it's opening a can of food. Seyra struggles to her feet, the exoskeleton whining in protest. She's barely functional, held together by human ingenuity and sheer stubborn will. But she's moving, and that's something. "I can't fight in this thing," she says, frustration bleeding through her voice. Jonas tosses her a modified mining cutter, its beam focused down to combat settings. "Then don't fight like a Xelari warrior. Fight like a human." And that's when you see it. That moment when someone stops being what they were and starts becoming what they choose to be. The drone bursts through the hall like death itself, all angular metal and glowing sensors. It's beautiful in the way that only perfect killing machines can be. Its weapon systems lock onto Seyra immediately, but Jonas is already moving. He doesn't try to outfight the drone or match its speed. Instead, he does something completely unexpected. He starts tearing apart his own ship. See, Jonas knows every bolt, every wire, every structural weakness in the broken chain. He's rebuilt this thing so many times that it's more like an extension of his body than a vehicle. So when he starts ripping out power conduits and redirecting plasma flow, he's not just making repairs, he's weaponizing his home. Seyra catches on immediately. The exoskeleton might make her slow, but it also makes her strong enough to tear through bulkheads to redirect the ship's gravity generators, to turn the cargo bay into a trap. They work together like they've been partners for years instead of days. Jonas creating chaos and opportunity, Seyra using her tactical mind to anticipate the drone's responses. It's beautiful and terrifying, and completely impossible. But then Seyra's war AI decides to wake up. Right in the middle of the fight, her neural implants start firing random signals. Her vision fills with phantom targeting data from battles fought decades ago. Her body seizes up as the damaged AI tries to override her consciousness. The drone sees its opening and takes it. Seyra collapses, convulsing, completely helpless. The hunter-killer advances its weapons, charging for a killing shot. And that's when Tova does something that nobody sees coming. This kid, this survivor who's been watching from the sidelines, suddenly sprints across the cargo bay. Not away from the danger, but straight towards it. She's got something in her hands, something small and glowing. The memory crystal from her homeworld. "Get away from her!" Tova screams and jams the crystal directly into the drone's central processor. Now you have to understand what just happened here. Catharian neural technology and Xelari war AI, they were never meant to interact. It's like mixing matter and antimatter. The feedback loop that erupts through the cargo bay shorts out every electronic system within 50 meters. The drone dies instantly, its consciousness scattered across incompatible data structures. But the feedback also hits Seyra's implants, and for a moment, I think we're about to lose her too. Instead, something miraculous happens. The Catharian healing protocols in that memory crystal don't just shut down the war AI. They purge it completely, burning out the neural pathways that have been torturing Seyra for weeks. She opens her eyes, and for the first time since Jonas found her, they are completely clear, completely her own. "It's gone," she whispers, her voice filled with wonder. "The AI, it's actually gone." But Tova is lying on the deck, unconscious, her small body smoking from the neural feedback. The crystal that contained the last remnants of her people's knowledge is cracked and dark. Jonas drops his weapon and rushes to the child's side. She's breathing, but barely. The feedback has burned out most of her nervous system's higher functions. Seyra struggles over her exoskeleton, finally working smoothly now that the AI interference is gone. She kneels beside Tova, her warrior's training taking it over as she checks vital signs. "She saved us both," Seyra says quietly. "This child whose people we destroyed just gave everything to save us." Jonas looks around at the wreckage of his ship, at the destroyed drone, at the two people who've somehow become his family. "Maybe that's what makes us worth saving," he says. "We keep choosing to save each other even when it costs us everything." But their celebration is cut short by another alarm. Not proximity this time, but hull breach. The drone's attack has compromised the ship's structural integrity. They've got maybe 10 minutes before the whole thing comes apart, and they're still 3 days from the nearest safe harbor. Time to find out what impossible really means. 10 minutes to live, a ship coming apart at the seams, and 3 people who refuse to give up. That's when you see what humans are really made of. Jonas doesn't waste time on panic or despair. He starts cannibalizing every system that isn't essential for life support. Gravity generators, secondary power cells, even the ship's computer core. Everything gets rerouted into the engines and navigation. Seyra, finally free from her AI torment, becomes the tactical genius she was always meant to be. But instead of planning conquest, she's planning survival. Her mind works through structural calculations, trajectory plots, resource allocation, all that military training now focused on saving lives instead of taking them. And Tova, even unconscious, she's still fighting. Her vital signs stabilize just enough to keep going. The broken chain limps through space like a wounded animal, shedding debris and atmosphere with every kilometer. But it keeps moving, because sometimes that's all you need. Just keep moving forward. 3 days later, they reach the neutral zone around Kepler Station. It's not much, just a trading post built into a hollowed-out asteroid. But it's got medical facilities, ship repair bays, and most importantly, it's outside council jurisdiction. The moment they dock, Seyra collapses, not from injury or system failure, but from pure emotional exhaustion. For the first time in her adult life, she doesn't have to be a weapon. She can just be herself. The station medics work on Tova for 6 hours straight. When she finally wakes up, the first thing she does is ask about Seyra. Not Jonas, not herself. The woman whose people destroyed her world. That's when you know something fundamental has changed. Over the next few weeks, as they repair the ship and heal their wounds, these 3 survivors start building something I've never seen before. Not just friendship, not just alliance, but family. Chosen family built from scraps and determination, in the simple decision to care about each other. Seyra learns to walk again, really walk without the exoskeleton's help. Her steps are uneven, sometimes painful, but they're completely her own. No AI controlling her movements, no imperial conditioning dictating her purpose. Just a woman choosing where to go. Jonas rebuilds his ship, but this time he's not building it for one person. He adds a second cabin, expands the living quarters, installs systems designed for 3 very different physiologies. The broken chain becomes something new. A home in Tova. She starts talking again. Not just single words or brief responses, but actual conversations. Stories about her homeworld, questions about human culture, plans for their future together. One evening, as they're preparing to leave Kepler Station, Seyra finds Jonas in the engine room, making final adjustments to their new propulsion system. "You know we can never go back." "Right," she says. "The council will never stop hunting us. Your own people will see you as a traitor." Jonas looks up from his work, grease-stained and exhausted, but somehow more alive than he's ever been. "Good," he says. "I was getting tired of following other people's rules anyway." They launch the next morning, 3 souls bound together by choice rather than duty. Their destination, unknown. Their purpose, to prove that mercy isn't weakness, that compassion isn't surrender, that sometimes the most revolutionary act is simply refusing to hate. 6 months later, they're legends. The human who saved his enemy, the warrior who chose peace, the child who forgave the unforgivable. Stories about them spread across 3 star systems, inspiring others to question the old rules, the old hatreds. But that's not the end of their story. That's just the beginning. Because somewhere out there in the vast darkness between stars, other people are making the same impossible choice. Choosing compassion over convenience, choosing hope over hatred, choosing to be human in the best possible way. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough to change everything. The last shot I want you to picture is this: the 3 of them standing at the observation deck of their ship, looking out at a binary sunrise over some unnamed world. Seyra's walking without assistance, her silver hair catching the light. Tova's pointing out constellations, sharing stories from her lost culture with people who actually want to listen. And Jonas, he's just smiling because for the first time in his life, he's exactly where he belongs. The galaxy told them they were enemies, that their differences made peace impossible, that some wounds can never heal. They proved the galaxy wrong, and if that's not worth fighting for, I don't know what is. Before you go, let me ask you something. This story, these characters, this impossible hope they represent, what does it mean to you? Drop a comment below and tell me which moment hit you the hardest. Was it Tova's sacrifice, Seyra's choice to live, Jonas's stubborn refusal to give up? And if this story moved you the way it moved me, hit that subscribe button, because there are more stories like this out there. More tales of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. More proof that humanity's greatest strength isn't our weapons or our technology, it's our refusal to stop caring even when caring costs us everything. Thanks for listening, and remember, someone has to choose compassion. Why not you?